What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hustle Kitchen podcast. I'm your host, Hussain, and today we have a special guest, Barry Prost from Ireland, lived in Bahrain. We're going to talk everything about recruitment, how to get a job, what's going on in his business, and tips for you to succeed in your job field. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hustle Kitchen podcast. Today we have a special guest, Barry Prost from Propel Consult. Barry, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, Hussain.
Barry, it's been a while since we've last met.
It has, yeah.
I think it's been almost like 10 years, maybe.
It has. Like, when you say it like that, but it feels like it as well, doesn't it? A lot's happened since.
A lot has happened. A lot has happened. And, you know, I got to say, like, obviously when we first met, it was about the new website project that you were working on at the time, which is Bub Saudi.
Bub Saudi, yeah. It's mothballed for the moment, but you know, it's an interesting concept. I think it still has legs, but for the moment, we're focusing on the recruitment business in Propel.
Yeah. So, how is the recruitment business going these days, Barry?
It's very exciting times in recruitment. We're working with some of the largest private and public sector organizations, both in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia and the rest of the GCC as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's certainly a bounce back we're experiencing from post-COVID in terms of hiring. So what we're noticing is there's a lot of pent-up demand from employers, and we're obviously desperately trying to satisfy that with the right caliber of people.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, one of the things, obviously, as a business owner, which is a question I want to put to you, is that, you know, normally when I'm looking to fulfill a job, right? Yeah. And I don't know, the first thought that comes into our minds as an SME, let's say, or a smaller business, is like, you know, should we go through a recruitment agent? Oh, we're going to get charged a bomb or something like that. And like, why don't we just post it directly on Indeed or whatever it is? Yeah. And then for me, it's a torturing process because, you know, whilst we're trying to maybe save a little bit on that, it's very hard to get the right candidate, especially in Bahrain for some reason.
Absolutely. And, you know, just because Bahrain is a small market and there's an element of everybody knowing everyone, I mean, you know, it's certainly, you know, I think it's always good to have have the help from a professional to help you shortlist, screen CVs. Basically, I mean, our aim is really to take the headache out of the process for our clients.
Yes.
And, you know, we've got different pricing models whereby we're not only charging kind of one-off fees, you know, on a success-only basis. We're now moving more towards this monthly subscription model, which we call, you know, recruitment process outsourcing, where we deal with high volume of vacancies, or Rent a Recruiter, which is, you know, an embedded recruitment solution. So we second, you know, virtually or physically one of our recruiters to work in your business alongside you while you scale up.
Barry, as a small business owner, I mean, for me, like whether I'm looking for salespeople or designers or whatever it is, and I, you know, tend to like think, okay, maybe recruitment's going to cost me a little bit, and I feel like a lot of people might think that way, without even checking, by the way, what it costs, right? So it's just a natural instinct. So you start posting jobs on Instagram, on Indeed, you ask friends, and you get all sorts of random resumes. I'll be honest, for me, I'll look at the first 20 that come up, and then, like, you know, you start getting bombarded on Indeed by like 300. Yeah. I'm like, am I going to quit my job just to find someone a job? You know, it's like
absolutely. Well, I mean, look, you know, you're trying to run your business. You know, you're trying to deal with clients. You know, it's very hard to find that time to go through hundreds of CVs. You know, so that's exactly what we're here for. We're here to take the headache out of recruitment, out of that process, and we're not just here for, you know, large companies. Yes, we work with, you know, the likes of Babco or you know, some Fortune 500 companies across Saudi Arabia where we're charging, you know, larger fees perhaps, but we also have a model and a service offering for small business owners and high growth startups that we call Rent a Recruiter.
What's it called? Rent a Recruiter.
So it's sort of a play upon rent a car.
Okay.
So
Rent a Recruiter.
Yeah. So, you know, rather than actually pay per fee, you pay per placement. Rather, you're paying for the service, and we charge on a monthly subscription basis. So what we find is that delivers a lot better value for the client in terms of we take the placement fee out of the equation, and we charge based on a process as opposed to an outcome. But what we find is that the average cost per hire, we drive that down by almost 50%.
Yeah, that's a bit. By the, is this a new thing? I've never heard of rent-a-recruiter concept.
Sure. Look, yeah, I mean, I'd love to tell you we're the first in the world to come up with the concept. Yeah. But it's certainly, yeah, I mean, it's certainly new to the industry. Yeah, there's some companies in the US and in the UK, but yeah, no, it's new to the region, and it's certainly kind of a unique service offering from the point of view of the market. It's not commonly out there. Yeah. So certainly it's something that we're working to promote and drive, because we think it delivers real value for the client.
That's really amazing. Quick question. So for people looking for jobs out there, what does the screening process look like? You know, when obviously you post like there's a job available and then you get everyone applying. What are you guys looking for when it comes to like filtering out that list and what happens next? Yeah,
look, I mean, obviously that's quite job specific, but certainly from if you want to talk in generalities, I think one of the things that we're quite hot on as recruiters is people who have demonstrated kind of career progression and demonstrated a commitment to their existing or previous employers. So what we don't like, which is an industry term, is job hopping. And it's probably what we don't like to see as recruiters. Yeah. Because obviously, from the new employer's perspective, if somebody's only stayed 6 months in a previous job, the chances are they're going to leave them in 6 months as well.
What period of time is considered job hopping?
That's a really good question. I think it probably depends from industry to industry, but I think as a rule, you're looking at maybe 2 years would be kind of the minimum. 2 to 3 years, yeah.
I think that's probably what was one of my problems when I first came to Bahrain 12 years ago, and it was actually quite difficult for me to get a right job. It's not about getting a job, but getting a job that you're kind of happy with. Yeah. And when I look back at my career, I don't think I really was in a place for longer than a year, year and 3 months. But I say that's not because of a commitment issue. I believe sometimes if you can't grow upwards, grow sideways.
Yeah, no, very true. Yeah.
You're hopping for the better opportunity.
Well, if you can demonstrate that you've really added value to each employer that you've worked with, I think that's really the key, and that's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, but you ultimately set up your own company. You became your own boss.
Well,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I was actually looking for a job as a marketing director or just as a marketing consultant in an agency, and everyone told me I didn't have enough agency experience. So I figured, why not just set up your own, and then rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So become your own boss. That's the if you can't get a job, set up your own company. Yeah.
So how do you feel like? Is it a struggle to find the right candidates for jobs here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's. I mean, I think regardless of how hot the market is, there's always a demand for talent across all industries, really. But certainly, given how many vacancies we have in Bahrain at the moment, and particularly in Saudi Arabia, and the demand for really high caliber local talent as well, it's very challenging to find the right people, for sure.
So, are you headhunting people as well, like poaching them from other places?
Well, look, I mean, that's something that we don't necessarily advertise that we are actively poaching. Obviously, through professional networking sites like LinkedIn, I suppose you could argue that's poaching in today's market. But it's more, we describe it as networking and kind of leveraging our own contacts really to find the right people for our clients. Yeah.
How's the Saudi market? Okay, so 10 years ago when we met, obviously you had the vision of Bab Saudi, and I feel like there was a legislative change over there, which made you encouraged to do that, I think. Yeah. Wasn't it? They were looking for more Saudis or locals. Was it Saudiization that led that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Saudiization, the push to employ Saudis in Saudi Arabia is as strong as ever, and has become more important than ever from a strategic point of view, within the kingdom. And certainly, what we're involved in is, like I mentioned before, we're involved with like Fortune 500 companies like AECOM. We're also involved with Vision 2030 projects directly, sourcing that much more of a sort of on a high volume basis, on a monthly basis, and that's a combination of Saudi and expat employees. But certainly the first preference always is to find the right kind of Saudi candidate for each position, and that's kind of our mission really in Saudi when we're working on vacancies.
Because Saudi's changed a lot, obviously, over the last year and two. So I can foresee like a big demand for your services over there.
Absolutely.
Have a lot of other companies moved into Saudi recruitment-wise?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that certainly all kind of arrows from Dubai suddenly were pointed towards Saudi. So and I remember when we first set up in Bahrain, one of the reasons we set up here not only was ease of doing business, and both myself and business partner Jamie Groom, we really liked the location. And the availability of local talent as well to grow our own business. But it was also kind of that there wasn't the same competitive pressure in Bahrain as there was in Dubai. I mean, there's hundreds upon hundreds of recruitment companies in Dubai, and I think that they're now all fishing in Saudi Arabia. Look, I mean, there is, but we feel we've got that kind of local, Bahrain connection to Saudi is a lot closer, so hopefully
I was gonna say that, like, did you have that first mover advantage, like, because obviously they're looking at it now, you've been here for so many years?
I think so. We've built up that track record for 10 years now of delivering kind of high quality services in Saudi. We've got great case studies of kind of both high volume campaigns we've managed, but also kind of niche roles that we've filled as well on behalf of clients. So absolutely.
So how's the team here? Is it like a mix of nationalities, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
diverse, very diverse team. We've got 5 nationalities, working in the business, including our outsourced workers. We're up to kind of 80, a headcount of 80 at the moment. And, I'm proud to say we're very diverse from a gender perspective. We think we're 60-40, female male as well. And I think that mix of nationalities, I think it feeds a very kind of dynamic atmosphere in the office, and I think it's great to kind of have that mix where people can learn and develop, and I think everyone benefits really.
So how important would you say is Arabic as a language, whether you're looking for a job in Bahrain or Saudi? Or is it more predominantly Arabic in Saudi, or is that not the case? Because I feel like this is just something that as an expat we see from the outside, that probably I would need to know how to speak Arabic well in order to get a job there, or is that just simply not the case?
Look, well, I think, English is in Bahrain is one of the official languages, right? So I'd probably say it's not essential to have Arabic. However, the caveat there is that, for some positions, especially we work in some really kind of high technical contractual type roles in Saudi, where Arabic is absolutely essential. So you couldn't say that you don't need Arabic for all positions, but certainly, I mean, English is the language really of doing business. So.
Okay, fantastic. So now you and Jamie, your partner, you've moved to Ireland, and you've set up shop in Ireland as well. What would you say are those like key differences between like running a business in Ireland versus in the Middle East or Bahrain?
Yeah, I mean, really good question. I think, for us, it's probably the competitive pressure in Ireland compared to Bahrain in terms of the number of recruiters that there are, because we have a thriving kind of tech industry. Ireland is kind of like a Silicon Valley of Europe,
because of the tax benefits for the big boys over there.
Exactly, 12.5%. So it's kind of highly competitive compared to our European colleagues. I don't think they're too happy about that. I think that's being addressed probably at an EU level. But for now anyway, we've got all the large tech companies in Ireland. They employ thousands upon thousands of people, and I mean that just drives a very, very vibrant and competitive recruitment sector, particularly in the tech space. So You know, certainly availability of talent. You know, there's just a huge shortage in Ireland, and it's hugely competitive.
There's a shortage of talent.
Absolutely. Yeah,
but you mean specifically in the tech sector, or
specifically?
generally?
No, generally. I mean, you know, the amount of vacancies in Ireland now runs into the tens of thousands.
Oh, really?
Of vacancies, yeah, that are unfilled.
Why is that? Smaller population, more jobs, or?
No, well, I mean, it's a growing.
Not qualified enough.
No, I don't think so. It's just literally a shortage. So we cannot import the talent quick enough. I mean, Ireland's probably a little bit like Bahrain. It's a small open economy, and it's high growth, and we literally cannot fill the positions. You know, that the economy is generating. And I think that's the key issue. And I think what's great about Bahrain in terms of growing a business is the availability of really high caliber recruiters that we can grow our business. So we were so impressed with the level of education in Bahrain, and the talent that we had available here, and that's been a kind of a key secret to our success here in Bahrain to date.
That's amazing. I had a really random question with this whole Ireland Bahrain thing. Like when you're in Ireland, are you actually filling any jobs in Bahrain from the Irish in Ireland? Like, is there any cross?
Oh, absolutely.
Do any of the Irish want to come to Bahrain or the Middle East for jobs here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They want to come to Bahrain and not just to visit JJ's. Yeah. No, I mean, look, there's great opportunities here for, that's one of the reasons we came here, right? Not, it's a great place to live and to experience for a number of years. Great place to grow your career. So yeah, 100%. We've. And also it's tax free, so
exactly.
You're not spending half your salary in tax. So, So look, there's lots of benefits both from family, social, and obviously financial perspective. It's a very attractive place to come.
Absolutely. I mean, because one of the things that I was thinking that, obviously, like from a sales perspective, I don't know whether like I'm generalizing here, but I found it really difficult to find like great salespeople in Bahrain for any of the companies or teams that we work for. Obviously in Dubai, that's a different case. You know what I mean? And I mean, I feel like it's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I feel like in Bahrain generally, there's like, I mean, when you get like, for example, calls from whether it's a call center or whether it's even customer service or even if a debt collector, it's like they're very like shy on the phone, and like it's like it's not the sort of talent that we're looking for in our company, basically, if you're trying to grow from that way. I assumed in Ireland you'd have a lot of talent over there.
From a sales perspective?
From a sales perspective.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that is true. But I mean, sales is notoriously difficult. I mean, we're running a campaign in Ireland for salespeople, and it is. I mean, I think salespeople are notoriously hard to find, whether it's the UK, Ireland, or anywhere. At that level, at that kind of junior level that you're talking about. And we ran one very successfully here recently for Gulf CX. Where we ran a campaign, in conjunction with kind of Black Friday to source, kind of at that kind of graduate student level, and it was very successful. So
what's Gulf CX?
So Gulf CX is a customer, call center effectively, who manage campaigns in Bahrain, based in Bahrain and Saudi. And they manage kind of major campaigns for retailers, online retailers. Across the Gulf.
Okay. Yeah. So they like literally like the call center for the customer service for these guys.
Exactly. Yeah, and sales as well.
Okay, and sales as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it's because it's a funny place, with sales, because it's a place where it's like either you're not paying them enough to keep them motivated, right? And when you're going down the caliber, they're just not motivated or they're not good enough,
Yeah.
So that's the difficult middle point.
Yeah, and look, it's a tough job. I mean, I started off life in sales. I think it's a great training. I mean, I started off life selling accidental death insurance to people over the phone in England, And I mean, calling someone up at 6 o'clock trying to pitch
you might die tomorrow.
Or else another campaign we did was, credit cards in America. And I mean, God, if you can sell into American call centers, I mean, that's kind of the best training because I mean, they just, they hate telemarketers in the States.
I started the same place in the UK, like with Halifax, Bank of Scotland and credit cards. Yeah, but it was a nightmare of an experience in the beginning. But once you get adjusted, I feel like there's nothing better, not better skill that you could possibly have.
Absolutely, God, you really have to. I mean, it really tests your kind of resilience and motivation. You know, yeah. But yeah, no, it's a good experience.
So, how has COVID affected your business, or the recruitment business in general?
Yeah.
Are you seeing different trends, or did you see like a decline, or I don't know? Give us the insight there.
Yeah, well, look, I'll start with the obvious one. Everything pivoted online, you know, so that's the first thing that happened. So all of a sudden, from this idea that, you know, I'm talking generally now, but this idea that you needed to meet people face to face, you needed to onboard people face to face, that's kind of been thrown out the window a little bit. So now, you know, you've got people, and I'm talking from my personal experience as well, you know, you've got people that you've employed through a series of interviews who've started in your business and who you've never met before.
Yeah.
And that's probably a new experience for a lot of employers. And one of the things that we're finding, and I think what business owners probably need to get used to, you know, is that kind of new way of working, and that this idea that you need to see people face to face is, you know, probably a thing of the past a little bit. And
well, I like that, by the way. Like I like to have the option to not go face to face.
Sure.
So you can have more meetings in a shorter space of time. And 100%. I think the world's your oyster now, because you're not limited by physical locations. You're not traveling to a meeting anymore.
Absolutely.
That's the best part, not traveling to a meeting.
100%. Yeah. You're dead right. And it's very efficient. But then it does call into question other issues around, you know, loyalty and, you know, that building that psychological contract, you know, with your employees, and is that as strong, you know, if you've never met someone before? Of course, rather than if we interact every day together, you know. And as humans, you know, I don't know. I mean, we still have to wait to answer that question. I mean, my personal belief is you probably need some kind of, you do need balance. Some sort of, you do need some kind of face-to-face interaction in order to kind of, you know, for that culture building piece to be really effective, you know. But definitely, look, I think that you definitely need to think about culture in a different way, and how to build that, and how to you know, inspire loyalty in your employees.
Yes, I mean, for me, I think it's all those redundant meetings that go online are way better. Yes. You know, where it's like you're not really being productive, you're just meeting for the sake of meeting sometimes. Absolutely. And I mean, if you think about it, you know, the amount of wasted time as well, you know, not just in the informal meetings. Now, you know, there's a benefit to them too, the you know, the water cooler chats, you know, I mean, you know, but at the end of the day, it is, you know, there's a, you know, you can, if you're motivated and it suits you, you know, work way more efficiently, right, on your own at home. Yeah. So. But what about from an industry point of view? This is what I'm curious. Like, so have there been less requirements for jobs, more requirements for jobs, like from a recruitment industry perspective? Because obviously you guys have that advantage because of the industry that you're in. You sort of know what's going on around, you know, multiple industries. Sure. Where they're hiring, they're firing, like, are they looking for cheaper staff, or like what's going on, you know? No, sure. Well, I mean, you know, again, one of the trends was the Great Resignation, right, that we saw. And so there was a huge amount of movement in the market. And that was obviously good for recruiters, right? I mean, still most of the industry, you know, generate, you know, it's good for the industry when people move jobs, for our industry. So that's like moving houses, right? So right. Yeah, absolutely. And there was this kind of pent up demand, and that was from this pent up demand where, you know, during COVID, nobody moved jobs, you know, because everyone was security. Absolutely, everyone was clinging on to their job, you know. So there was this whole, you know, kind of, you know, pent up demand, if you like, for changing jobs that was kind of unleashed when COVID started to settle down, and that's, I think, what we saw during that time. So that would have been bad for business when people didn't move. Yes, absolutely. Like in that peak in the first year sort of thing. Yeah, it was kind of the worst. It was kind of a perfect storm, if you like, because you couldn't get people to move. Not only was the demand side down in COVID, but you couldn't get people to move jobs either. Yeah. So it was kind of this perfect storm of, you know, so yeah, it wasn't good for recruitment companies, for sure. How long did that last for? Like, are we back to normal now, or not yet? Well, I would say, yeah. I mean, we are. I mean, you know, talking to recruitment owners,
because I'm on the Employment and Recruitment Federation back home in Ireland, on the committee there. So talking to other recruitment owners, I think, some of the best months that they've had have been in the last few months, fees wise.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been to answer your question, yeah, I would say we are back to normal, and it's back to kind of boom time again.
Yeah.
So because I think we've probably as an industry learned to live with the COVID, and I think employers are
Pivoted and like
exactly. So the shock has kind of dissipated a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So what other projects are you working on now in Ireland? Where do you see that, when we've met 10 years ago, obviously, this is why I thought, obviously the Bob Saudi project was interesting. I always say, you guys kind of ahead of your time, in that sense. Like, startups were not even a buzzword at that time.
Yeah.
So, when you're venturing onto your own portal, that was probably ahead of its time, I would say, back then.
Yeah.
And now, how has, social media wasn't even a thing. I believe it was Facebook. Instagram, I don't believe was around when we first met.
No, we didn't even have any. We didn't have any social media handles on the website or anything, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was just list your jobs on online, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how has social media changed your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's one of the tools now we use, one of the key tools we use. So we use it to talk to our stakeholders, our clients, our candidates. We obviously use it to reach out to candidates. We use it to build our networks, to grow our networks. And each recruiter, has, kind of uses the company social media channels, but also their own, to reach out and engage with their target audience. And that's really, really important. And the obvious one is LinkedIn. I mean, that's where our clients live, and that's where we probably do the most of our work. Instagram's nice to have. I always, Instagram's more for, to grow our own business and kind of to showcase kind of our own culture and why people would want to work for us as well.
Now you're working on a couple of new projects as well?
Yeah, so I think for Propel, we're looking to grow our footprint in Saudi Arabia, and we're looking to continue to grow that market with a more of a local presence. So that's something maybe I can come back and talk to you about another time, that we're in talks to do that currently. In terms of in Ireland, with our company called Yala, we're launching a concept called Yala Connect, which is around.
How do you spell that, Yala?
Yala, Y-A-L-A.
That's not like the Arabic, Yalla.
We wanted to make it a bit more simple, but it's a kind of a nod to our experience in the Middle East.
Okay.
So we wanted kind of a two-syllable word, but that was kind of dynamic in that. But so in terms of what Yala Connect does, it allows our clients, our employers, to connect with candidates in a much more impactful way through video and visual content, rather than just through job text ads.
Yeah.
Which I know we spoke about. Our thesis is that just text ads alone are no longer enough to communicate a company's uniqueness to their target candidate market. So we want to, with Yala Connect, give candidates a shop window into our employer's company, so they can really see what it's like to work there. So that's the idea.
Really interesting. And I think, is there a bit of a conflict in what sense? Like when I go onto job websites like Golf Talent or whatever it is, right? And I'll see tons of jobs, and I feel recruitment agents who are listing these jobs don't want to reveal who the company is a lot of the time.
Sure.
Is that, I don't know if that's just something in the Middle East, you know what I mean?
No, you're dead right. Are they
worried that you'll go behind their back or something like that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's old school recruiting 101, that's the legacy kind of,
has that
people
changed?
Are trying to be protective of their clients. I would say for 80% it's not changed, but certainly for us, we don't mind sharing who our clients are. I think, clients are now signed up, they're bought into the, either contractually or through a relationship. So it's not really a concern for us. And I think that's kind of, that kind of behavior will probably fade out over the next number of years.
I hope so. I hope so, because, it's like, I go through all these listings. I'm like, yeah, but where is this place?
Yeah.
Like
to be honest,
there'll be like an IT company.
You're dead right.
In somewhere in the Middle East.
I know.
Is it?
we actually we do the opposite. We actually share the company name because we think that that's going to
impact your decision.
Exactly. We think we're going to have a better chance of attracting you to apply to the job by sharing the client name. Yeah. We're not really worried about other recruiters or.
And that's going to be fantastic. You're going to have a game changer here. So once you start introducing the whole video way of the company explaining about themselves, now obviously the company is going to be revealed at that point. And then maybe other people start following suit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a separate business to our recruitment business. So these companies are signed up on a monthly subscription basis.
It's a platform.
It's a platform, exactly. Okay. So we're looking at a SaaS model to grow using on a monthly subscription basis. So in terms of we're not necessarily tied into recruiting for them as well. It's more that this is a standalone service. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's great. Has it launched yet?
It's launched. Yeah, we've got 11 clients live on the platform at the moment.
Where are they posting these videos that they're recording?
So we actually are doing the videos in house for them at the moment.
Okay, no, you do the videos.
Yeah.
And then what happens to that video?
You
post them.
So we've designed a simple page. It's got all the key information that a candidate might be looking for, like the number of employees, when the company was set up, how many employees they have, maybe gender diversity is a hot topic at the moment. So we have that listed as a kind of on an infographic, and then we've just got it populated by pictures and 6 videos. So and we have designed a pretty straightforward page, and we just think one page, to have the most impact on a candidate's decision.
I'll have to check it out. So it's yala.com.
It's yala.ie, and you'll see the branding page.
YALA. So you guys check it out, yala.ie, if you're interested in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So now coming back to like Bahrain and the Middle East. Okay. Sure. Well, I mean specifically Bahrain because that's where we all are. I mean two questions I have here. Like a lot of people that I know, they struggle to find a new job, or it's maybe, I don't know, it's because of the post-COVID or pre-COVID, but I noticed this generally from years ago, so I don't think this is like COVID related. What are sort of kind of tips you can give them to like get them at least into the interview or in front of the right person, to sort of find the job that they're kind of happy with?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, look, there's a couple of basic things, and maybe just some errors that we see that maybe people can avoid that might be helpful, like just in terms of making sure that you kind of tailor your cover letter to the actual person that you're sending it to, like the amount of cover letters that we see.
How important is a cover letter?
Well, I mean,
let's start there.
I think it is important. I think a cover letter to kind of showcase why you're interested in the job, and they might be looking for a job in Hustle Kitchen, and they might instead of saying dear Hussain, they might say dear, and it might be
sir.
Yeah, well, not even dear sir, but like maybe a name from another employer that they've already. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just kind of careless stuff like that. So make sure it's addressed to the right person and the right company that you're applying for, and make sure that the CV is well laid out. It's not too long.
How long should a cover letter be, by the way?
Oh, it shouldn't be more than 1 page, and probably
a whole page.
No. Like as in like I think it should be like 3 paragraphs.
Okay.
I think you're talking 9. Maybe 9 lines. Maybe.
I don't think I've ever received 3 paragraphs in an application so far.
Okay.
That has addressed me, Yeah. And the resume itself?
And the resume, 2 pages.
2 pages.
Yeah. 2 to 3 pages.
And when they're talking about like their experience, should it be just like bullet points, or like I find like when there's too much writing there, absolutely. And I'm like I've got to read 100 of these.
Yeah.
I just scan so fast. I actually don't even read most of the stuff on it. I know how.
Yeah, I totally agree. Bullet points are the way forward. Start with your most recent experience first. So employers aren't interested in the first thing they're reading about is what you did when you left school. They want to see your most recent job, your most recent education, and they don't. I mean, unless it's a junior graduate position, not interested in where you went to school, or what you got what you got in English and what your grade in English, you know what I mean? So stick to the kind of the really recent stuff, and really focus on that, because that's and focus on your achievements. So I know we were talking about sales. I mean, if you're applying for a sales position, you want to read that you've achieved X amount of your target in your last position, or some kind of metric that looks impressive, and that's tangible. So that they'd be sort of the advice on tips. If someone's in Bahrain and struggling to find a job, I would recommend them to look at the job portals, look at the most recently posted vacancies. maybe check out, do some research. I mean, God, information is so widely available now. Maybe do some research on who the hiring manager might be in each company.
Yeah.
Maybe reach out to them directly. Explain why you're interested in joining the company. Employers respond really well to kind of people who are interested and enthusiastic about about joining their firm. So and then obviously contact recruiters as well. Contact recruiters who have recently posted vacancies. Contact them on through the different social media channels. Yeah. And really, I mean, it's a little bit of a numbers game. I mean, the general advice I'd have to anyone anywhere looking for a job is to treat it like a job looking for a job.
Yeah. You have a job. Your job is to get a job.
Your job is to get a job. You get up, you start at 9 o'clock, then you have a target of how many, I mean, I hate to say it, but there is a numbers game involved as well. You need to apply for, you want to get 3 applications done in the morning and 3 applications done in the afternoon, and you need to consistently do that, for however long it takes. But and then just a final point is to look at your network of contacts. I'm sure you'd be surprised as to how big your network might be. And ask people for help. Ask people who do they know who's hiring. That's often, the best way, especially somewhere like Bahrain where kind of everyone does know everyone. So I'd probably say that in Bahrain in particular, that's probably the best advice. Use your network.
That's actually great tips.
Yeah.
How important is a photo on a resume? But I'm just curious, is this photo thing just a Middle East thing? Like,
yes.
I don't remember sending photos in Australia.
No, and it's not. Whether I need to check on the legalities of it, but I feel like
there's some discrimination law against that.
There is a law against it. I'm pretty sure, and certainly either there's a law against it or it's just not done. But we certainly don't encourage it in terms of best practice, even in the Middle East. We would discourage it.
I mean, every resume I get has a photo on it here, right? And I initially found that surprising because I'm sure there's some anti-discrimination policy or law or something in Australia which is just not done.
Yeah, and the same in the EU. But not so much. Maybe it's not enshrined in law here, but yeah, no, we would discourage it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, and I hate the fact that I do this. I think it's human nature or something. When I see a photo, I get a first impression. Yeah. And then when I that can distort my perception on the rest of this resume.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's maybe on a subconscious level, it happens. So for sure, yeah. So yeah, no, definitely, yeah. I'd probably add that to the list of tips. Maybe not to include a photo.
Not to include photo. Yeah. But I don't know. But is this something that has to be done here?
No, I don't think so. Certainly we've never been asked by our clients for a photo. So yeah, no, I'd say so.
So photos are not necessarily. It's not a thing of if you got it, flaunt it sort of thing. Does it help?
No, I don't think so.
And it's not about the look. Sometimes you stereotype. If this is a designer, then they should typically look like this.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If it's a programmer, they would typically look like that.
Yeah.
So it's not about whether they look good or not. It's just you're matching them with the job
what the
role
stereotype might be. Or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Barry, one of the things that everyone thinks about in Bahrain and maybe in the region is there a pay gap between expats and local talent? And is this more prevalent in other countries in the area or not?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I think that's something that we do experience, that there probably is a pay gap. And that's predominantly down to the fact that some employers feel that in order to attract kind of talent that's not available in the local market, they need to offer kind of elevated packages to cover things like, accommodation and education, etc. And I know, speaking from personal experience, the education in Bahrain can be quite
expensive.
Quite expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And the same with villas. And I mean, and that obviously, when you look at, when you start talking about compounds in Saudi and, even accommodation in Dubai. So I think that's probably the main driver for the pay gap, for sure.
Amazing.